So welcome once again. My name is Ishmael Wiche. Now let's see how to represent things on the Cartesian plane. We have looked at the first example. Now let's look at the second example. Okay. Now this says represent y is greater than or equal to x plus 4 in the Cartesian plane. As I said earlier, the first thing to do is to get a boundary line, and the boundary line is simply gotten by changing this from inequality to equation. So this is called the boundary line. It's this boundary line we are going to use to get the intercept. How do we get the intercept? We say when x is 0. So when x is equal to 0 and y will be equal to 4, this y equal to 4 is called the y-intercept. We do the same thing. We say when y is equal to 0. So if y is equal to 0, what will happen to x? X will become minus 4. This x equal to minus 4 is what we call the x-intercept. Now these two intercepts, this is what we are going to plot now on a Cartesian plane. So let's assume this box is my Cartesian plane. Okay, so I'm going to have my x-axis and I'm going to have my y-axis. Okay, so I know that my y is 4. Let's assume my 4 is here. My x is minus 4. Let's assume that my minus 4 is here. Now if you look at this greater than or equal to sign here, this is telling us that we are going to join these 2 points using a solid line, not a broken line like we did in our first example. I've explained why we are using a solid line to join. Okay, so we are going to join this using a solid line. Now the next thing to do after plotting this boundary, right, these are boundary line, these are y equal to x plus 4. So after getting the boundary line, after getting the sketch on the plane, the next thing to do is to test the validity of this inequality. So how do we test the validity of this inequality? I say the best point to use in testing it is the origin. This origin here, this point 0. This is the point where x is 0 and y is 0. Okay, so all we have to do now is to replace anywhere we see x and y, we place it with 0. And this will give us that 0 is greater than or equal to 4. Now, this statement here is not a valid statement because 0 can't be greater than 4. So this statement here is invalid. Okay, this is invalid. Now, in my first video, I explained to you, I said anytime the statement is valid, you accept the region that contains the origin. Remember, the boundary line divides the entire plane into 2 regions, the region below, the region above. So that region that contains the origin is usually for valid statement. But since this is an invalid statement, this is the settled solution. So this is the region that is representing this invalid statement, while this other region that contains 0, this is not a valid statement. This, we are going to reject this region and accept this other region. So this is a set of solutions. This is how to represent this inequality on the Cartesian plane. Thanks for watching. I hope you've gained value. Have a good day.